I met this guy 2.5 years ago, and I knew that he was special immediately. I knew that he was the kind of guy that was gonna high-five me in the door and high-five me on the way out. He was also a dreamer. He played football for a few years, and I could tell that he was gonna live his own life, but also support me at what I do, and I could do the same for him. And so it was important for me to lay that groundwork of like, this is my job, this is my priority, and he got that from the very beginning. I will say I share so much of my life, and it felt really good to kind of keep this one close to my chest for 2.5 years. I mean, I made him wait. I laugh and say I was, kind of waiting around to see if he was actually here to stay. But the good news is he's here to stay. I've tried running him off. He ain't going nowhere. So he's a good one, and he's very, very supportive. I mean, he's giving me stuff to write about too. Oh yeah, and of course the songs that I write about him are his favorite. And I'm like, of course you partial. My daddy means a whole lot to me. My family means a whole lot to me. I am who I am because of the people who raised me. I mean, I could wring their neck half the time, but I love them. I do. I feel like I wouldn't be me if I wasn't raised by Brian and Michelle Wilson. My daddy is a cowboy, and he got super sick last year. I believe it was around 15 different surgeries in a month and a half, and then had a stroke on top of that. It was a fungal infection that pretty much kind of took out the left side of his face, and they had to remove his eye. It was really hard just in general, but especially when I feel like we were at the peak of my career at that moment. You know, professionally, I felt like, man, like we're finally reaching places that I didn't know that we could. But personally, I felt like there was just a knife in my heart. And it was because the doctors had told us that he's not gonna make it. And I believe the doctors ended up telling us that he's the second person to ever survive what he went through that was as extreme as his. So going through things like that definitely impact my songwriting. I've caught myself, just tuning into the things that make me a Wilson. I'm always gonna be a Wilson. I'm always gonna have a hard head. I'm always gonna have a little bit of a potty mouth. I'm always gonna be me. And when you feel like you're losing somebody close to you like that, you can't help but grasp on to those things that make you feel really, really connected to that person. So I catch myself writing music about my daddy, writing music about my mama, anything that just kind of makes you feel like that kid again. I do perform those boots pretty much 50-50 shows. It depends on how long our set actually is. But it's weird because when I wrote those boots, Daddy was in good health. And then the meaning of the song completely changed when it started going down. But I mean, he's still kicking it. He got on his horse a few weeks ago. He rode in the grand entry. He's the president of the rodeo committee back at home. And just to see him get back to doing some of those things, it makes me feel like, all right, he's pulling up his bootstraps. He's doing what he's got to do.